We're getting up close and personal with all your favorite celebrities on the hottest weekend party show in the city, the Abbie Knights Show.
What's up, y'all?
You're listening to all the hits on the number one party show in the city, the Abbie Knights Show.
Tell a friend.
Hey everyone, what's going on? And we're back. We have a special guest today. Trev, how are you?
I'm doing amazing. How are you today?
Pretty good. I'm like, let's give you a round of applause. Yes. Come on, coming through with that blue. It's a good color.
Thank you. Thank you. I had to, dress up a little bit, put, something a little nice on. So
Something a little light flex, I love
you already
it.
know.
So for everybody out there, if you're not familiar with Trev, he's an incredible artist. His songs are bangers. And we definitely want to get to know you a little bit better and what makes you so special. So what is a typical day in the life of Trev like morning to night?
It's pretty interesting. It's not what you would think, and it's not a bad thing. So, I mean, kind of a little bit about me. I grew up playing piano and guitar. Music has always been, really important in my life and, helped me get through a lot. I feel like music can heal, it's the best medicine there is, but I record every day. I mix and, mix, master, produce my own stuff, most of it. So, I mean, I'll typically get up, pretty early, 7:30, 8, and, get up, get some breakfast, kind of get going. By lunchtime, I'm usually, in the studio, getting something out for the day. And then I'm also actually, a lot of people don't know this, I'm still in school too. So I got a year left of school. I think, education is important. I love music. We'll always do that. That'll be my hobby, till the day I die. But, I think that, a degree in, school is important too. So I'm knocking that. Occasionally I'll do some homework and stuff as well, but it's just every day, rise and grind, new music. That's all I want to do. So.
I'm like, that's a busy day to have. For a guy like you just find the balance. And do you ever find that it's a little difficult to find the balance and everything between music, which is work basically, right? It's a hobby. It's something you love to do, but technically it's like essentially work. Then you have school, then you have your friends, your personal life, family. Is it difficult to balance all that, or have you kind of found the right formula to it by now?
At first it was definitely interesting. It was hard to, I put a lot into music and then I, started to focus as much in school. But I feel like now, I've been doing it for a couple of years. I found kind of the groove that I need to be in. It's where I'm getting great grades. I'm still making music that I love. I just released my album I've been working on for the last 2 years. So I just feel like I'm in a really good place now to where I'm able to manage those and, successfully do so, which feels great.
Mm-hmm. I mean, obviously you're a busy man. Aside from school, which is probably something that a lot of people weren't familiar with, what's something that most people don't know about you?
Oof. All right, let's see. My close friends know this, and I feel like people at school with me know this, but I love cars. I'm super into cars.
Okay.
So everyone kind of gives me a hard time now because I used to be a super car guy and loud cars, and now I drive a Tesla. But
The quietest car you can possibly get.
yeah,
You can't even hear the engine when it's on.
no, yeah. So kind of a lot of people don't know I'm into cars, and I love working on them, and anything with a car I love. I hear a nice car, I'm like,
You're like,
where'd
let
that
me
come
check
from?
that out. Yeah. So if
Yeah.
you could have your dream classic car, what would it be?
Whew.
The
Oh, that's a tough
options.
one. That's a tough one. Well, let's see. Dream classic car. I'm gonna go with probably a '67 or '69 Mustang,
Ooh,
fastback
nice.
GT.
Okay.
Bright red, maybe with a white stripe. I feel like would look cool. Maybe blue with the white stripe. Something. Something that would pop. You
Something
know.
classy, but still pops a little bit. Okay, I like it. I like it. So, with everything you've got going on, obviously you said the last 2 years have kind of been what's taken up primarily your career in music. When did you discover your love for music? Was that always the dream, or was it something else at some point?
It's kind of funny. My dad was a big part in my life in music. And he would play guitar when I was a kid, and he would show me all the classics. And I feel like my parents were definitely a big inspiration. And ever
Mhm.
since I was a kid, I never thought that it would be what I would want to do as a career potentially. But I always kind of knew, like in my heart, that music was something that I enjoyed. That if I could do that and I could make an impact and make a difference, that would make me happy. You can't take money with you. When you pass, you can't. Things are great, but if you can make a difference and make an impact, and even if it's one person, if you can impact one person's life, I mean that just is like so amazing to me, and I grateful I'm able to do that.
Yeah, that makes all the difference in the world, especially I'm sure when you get feedback from your fans saying, "Hey, your song helped me through this," or "Your song helped inspire this." That has to be a very rewarding feeling when you have that contact with your fans.
Yeah, no, it absolutely is, and I will check my DMs on Instagram occasionally, and I'll get like, hey, like your song, your music just like really helped me through a rough time. And a lot of the music I've made, or some of the experiences that I've went through, of like of heartbreak, of sadness, of anxiety. No one's perfect. We all have our
Hmm.
issues. At the end of the day, we can get through it. You just got to push and fight.
Right. How would you describe your relationship with music now?
To be honest, it feels, I don't think of the right word for this. It feels balanced. I don't know if that's
Hmm.
the right word to use here, but it just feels very natural.
Hmm.
Um, Obviously, it took some time to find my sound. My album Doppelganger that's out, isn't a rap album. It's not a pop album. Each song is a completely kind of different version, or of kind of a story of like myself, right? So there's
Hmm.
not, it's not, you can't really classify it as a, hip hop, or you can't classify it as a pop, but it's like it's meant to be different, right? Like a doppelganger is, another version, or clone of yourself. So that was kind of the whole idea behind that album. And I feel like I've been able to, it's kind of unique from, I haven't seen anyone else kind of do anything like that.
Hmm.
And, I feel like I've done it. So it just feels very natural with the fact of like, if I sit down and record something, it always feels unique, which is a really good feeling. It doesn't feel like I'm copying anyone, or like it feels like it's Trev. It feels like it's me, if that makes sense.
I love that though. No, absolutely. It's authentic to you and who you are, which is exactly what you would want, I think, anyway.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, when it comes to that. So, what's your creative process typically like? You're working on a new project or you're starting to write a new song. What does that look like?
Yeah, so I mean, like I said, I definitely, I record by myself all the time. So, I'll occasionally, whip out the old, you know, piano and come up with something. And I first like to kind of create a foundation of things or
Hmm.
whatever. I feel like, certain people, want to have everything perfect the first time they record it, like one take, like, and that's great. I mean, everyone has their creative process, but it's easier for me to lay something down and then come back and go, okay, like this is what I'm going to do here. I'm going to add this, this, and this, and from that aspect. And also, I record at UED Studios with 1201 Entertainment, and I work with a bunch of those guys. They're awesome.
Hmm.
Shout out to Sky, Pompe, all them. And it's fun. It doesn't feel pressured. It's almost a way for me to disconnect. Some people go outside to go for a walk, or, go for a run, or, go get a massage, or get their nails done. But I just feel at peace when I'm recording, which is always really nice.
I think when it comes to music, what makes it so beautiful a lot of times is also the imperfections. It's not always about everything. Christina Aguilera talked about that a lot when she was recording, and she said she had to learn through Sia to, be less controlling and less of a perfectionist and just allow the emotion to take over. And I feel like when you have great music, it's meant to move somebody emotionally. And when you've done that, you know that you've done something right there. So I love that you're having that connection with your fans, and that you also have that technique with yourself, because I feel like as artists you're super emotional about your own thing, but you're also probably your biggest critic, right?
Oh, definitely, and especially the fact that like I, am involved in like the production piece of it too,
Mm-hmm.
because I always feel like there's something I can, do more, do better. But and even before I released the album, I wanted to make a couple, changes, and people were like, "Trev, when's the album coming out?" And like I would almost be like, "Look, I don't want to tell you a date. Like I promise it's gonna be soon." Like
Yeah.
but I'm finally feel like I'm at that point too, to where it's just easier for me to, okay, nothing's perfect, right?
Hmm.
But it's music. Just put it out there, let it be. So,
And that's, I don't know, I think that that's part of the beauty in it, but that's really just my personal opinion. When it comes to music, who are your greatest inspirations? Like, let's say top three.
ooh, definitely, my top, I'll go backwards. I'll go number three, I'd probably say Eminem. I listened to a lot of Eminem growing up. I feel like, he's really talented and lyrically just, in my opinion, one of the best out there.
Hmm.
Uh, Number
Definitely a
two.
storyteller.
Oh yeah, no, definitely. Um, that's tough. That's
I
tough.
had to
That's
make
tough.
it difficult for you. I couldn't just say name your inspirations. Like, I knew top three would kind of make it, a little more challenging.
Hmm. I really like kind of the old school stuff too. I love like, oh man, you're making this difficult.
Like, you
Um,
talking like old school, like NWA old school, or
yeah, I mean like old school rock, old school rap. How about this? I'll tell you my number one. I can't
okay.
decide on number two. I think my number one would probably be Juice World. So, he, in such a small amount of time was able to come out and go from, SoundCloud rapper to like everyone on the planet is listening to this guy, with one
Hmm.
song. And I feel like, I don't know if you've seen like his videos, but like he literally could freestyle for hours.
Yeah.
Like that is just crazy. And like to be able to do that and it sound like, good and like he's not, reading off a sheet of paper, like he just was so lyrically talented and like he helped a lot of people. He put messages out there like of what he was going through, and that helped other people, even help myself through some things, so I feel
Hmm.
like that's really inspirational. Rest in peace. Left too soon, but I think he was definitely one of the biggest actually I have a painting behind here. I don't know if you can see it.
I do see it. Yeah, I see it right
Yeah,
there.
so it's you know rest in peace, but yeah, he'd
That's the
probably be
beauty
my
about
top.
music too, right? Because it lives on forever. It's something that continues to move and inspire people. And amazing what he did, like you said, in such a short period of time, what an impact he had on people.
Definitely.
And I think it's that
Literally.
rawness, that realness that he had. He wasn't trying to be like anyone. He was just being authentic to himself. And that's the winning ticket right there. As an artist, when you discover that, like, you're winning.
Absolutely, I would 100% agree.
Period. So you recently released a new album, Doppelganger, which we were just talking about, and I know that you've spoken to how you battled a little bit with anxiety over the years. How did this creative outlet help you overcome that?
So, yeah, originally I didn't plan to release an album this soon. I wanted to just, release a few songs or an EP
Hmm.
because, in a sense, like a couple years ago, like I was, a little nervous about what people would think, right? It took a long time for me to, learn how, to not care what other people say, right? I put this out expecting, I hope it impacts, hopefully, it blows up, millions of people. That would be amazing. But if I can just help one person, it's having a rough day, listen to my music and they, can relate to it or, it helped them, then I feel like I've already, that's what I want to do, growing up, I mean, I had a good life, but I mean, I got bullied a lot. There's always bullies in school, I was different, do all this stuff different. Like and I let it get to me, I would let the bullies like get in my head and it make me sad and upset and, make me anxious and, I wouldn't want to go to school. But, eventually I grew up, I'm working hard now, I got to where I am today and I look back and, I'm kind of, in a way grateful it happened because it made me the person I am today. And,
Hmm.
melded me into, I'm able to make this amazing music now. I'm able to do my thing. And, it's because of the things that I went through.
Yeah, it's bullies, man. People don't understand how cruel kids can be. I was bullied a lot as a kid, so I totally feel you on that. And it's always funny because it feels like the most creative people are typically always the ones that have the same story when it comes to bullies because you're not like everybody else. You're a little bit different. And I think that's amazing, especially now as an adult. I think that when people are unique, it's the coolest thing ever. And people should take pride in that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Right. Well, I mean, be yourself, you know?
Always. So, being in a position that you are, I know you have a really big following, on TikTok. I know you have, all your pages are really popping, but For anybody out there that may be listening that does struggle with anxiety, what advice would you give them?
Yeah, it's hard because I wish I could just talk to every single person in the, that,
Mm-hmm.
individually, but I think just almost like a day by day thing, right? Everything is always going to get better, right? You could be at a low, and it's got to go up eventually, right? You
Right.
can't you got to focus on yourself, be yourself, and it doesn't matter what anyone else says. And I wish it didn't take me as long as it did to accept this, but
Mm.
like, no matter can't talk, no matter what someone says, it doesn't have to affect you. It could be
Yeah.
something mean, something hurtful, and that's not cool and that's not right. But you can't control what other people say. You can control how it affects you and how it makes you feel. And you can be sad in the moment, but you got to go, hey, you know what? That was really mean, but I'm going to get back up. I'm going to do this and I'm going to do my thing. And then what's this person going to say?
Nothing. I'm like, love it or hate it,
Crickets.
it's still
Yeah.
there. And at the end of the day, I feel like there's a lot of keyboard trolls out there. I think some of that is good to balance it out because I think at the same time, too, a lot of people don't realize that a lot of that quote unquote hate that people talk about tends to really just be jealousy and people not really knowing how to cope with the jealousy that they're feeling and the emotions that they're feeling, and to them it resonates as hate, and so they send all these horrible things. And I think as they mature and they look back on it, a lot of them grow to regret it because they hadn't really gone through that self-discovery process.
Yeah, no, I would definitely agree. And I mean, even I kind of started taking it, really seriously in high school and started recording and, learning how to do everything myself then. But
Hmm.
I remember when I started and, there were like I went to a small private school my first 2 years of high school. There were, 30, 40 kids in the whole school. Then I ended up going to, the public school,
Hmm.
and like, whoa, there's, 2,000 people here. Like, I don't know people. Like, I got to mingle around and like, got into music. Other people, I mean, try to connect with them, right? I was like, I don't know anyone. Let me go, say what's up. And no
Hmm.
one, few people wanted, very few people wanted to hang out with me or do stuff with me. And in the moment that sucked. But now the other people that I was trying to collaborate with in high school are coming back to me now and like, yo, Trev, let's get in the studio. And I'm like, you're funny. No.
Isn't it funny how they always come back full circle years later, like, hey buddy, like, how you been? And I'm like, who?
And they're like, yo, what's up, dog? Like, how you been doing? I'm like, I haven't talked to you since high school. I'm like,
Yeah, we're
what?
not homies, we're not friends, we
Like,
don't have that kind of rapport.
yeah. And I'm just like, there's no way you're coming at me like this now. But, that's okay. I mean, it just, like I said, I think the hardest thing, for me, and I feel like, for most people or anyone is not letting what other people say affect you, right? It's going to affect
That
you. No
part,
one is,
yeah.
no one, you can't be like a robot. It's not possible for someone to insult you or say something and you can't not let it affect you, but it's how you continue to, you got to figure out a way to move past that. And if you can, then, I mean, you'll just, everything is, it's like, you got weights on your back. And as soon as you figure that out, it's like, you're free. You can run
Hmm.
wherever you want, be whoever you want to be.
I think a lot of people struggle with that realization, but once you're there, like you said, it is one of the most freeing feelings because everyone has an opinion out there and it's impossible to please everybody at the same time anyway. So that's an unrealistic expectation, I think, for anyone to set. Even as an artist, like you said, when you release a project, the hope and the anticipation is you want millions of people to receive it well and to love it and fall in love with it. But sometimes it can take a little bit longer, and sometimes the reception may not be as big, but it may have a greater impact sometimes than some of the bigger projects. So it all kind of depends on how you look at it when your perspective is. I did want to know, though, going back to Doppelganger and, the projects that you have out, I'm sure you have certain songs that I always ask people if you have a favorite song, but I know as an artist it's hard to say because you fall in love with each one, as you're doing it, right? It's like a new baby. So do you have a favorite?
Yeah, I kind of knew that question was coming. So here's the thing, I do, and it's going to be an interesting answer. So every song on there, they're all my favorites. I have like over 200 unreleased, ready to go, full mixed
Mm.
and mastered. But these songs, and I listen to my album every day, and I've been listening to it even before it came out. But it almost kind of equates to like what I'm feeling or like what I'm going through that day. So one day maybe sad, or I got something going on, or it's just a rough day. So like I'll listen, for example, like Lost. Like it's very kind of put you in your feels, but like it just to me it sometimes has the opposite effect. Like listening to certain songs, kind of like it just depends on my mood, if that makes sense.
Hmm.
Because they're all such so different. They're not all the same. That it really just depends. But I mean, definitely what I've been hearing a lot of, from like fans and stuff is definitely "Don't Stop" and "Bad AF" have been, I think, the favorites so far.
I mean, that was my next question. What inspired that record? Because, I liked it too. I loved it when I heard it. So I'm glad that you helped me kind of get there. So it's a
Yeah.
fan favorite. I love that. What inspired the record?
For which one? "Don't Stop" or "Bad
Don't Stop.
AF"? Um, how do I explain this? So I mean, yeah. So for that record, it's very poppy. It's very dreamy. I feel like it gives me kind of feel good vibes.
Hmm.
Um, you know, kind of based off of a relationship. Like like things are good, right? Like "Don't Stop." Like "Let's paint the city red tonight." With all your lipstick kisses. Like it's very kind of lovey dovey, kind of like just feel good, right? So
Hmm.
I wanted to be a song. It's like just like okay, like all right, cool. Just kind of vibe out to it. And I just feel like they tell a story in an aspect. If you really listen to the lyrics, if you go through and listen to the whole thing, just lyrically, they tell stories that I feel like are really interesting.
Yeah. Do you have a muse in your personal life that
Yeah, I
helps
do.
inspire some of these records? Yes.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I do.
Oh,
Hmm.
look at you smiling. You always can
Yeah,
tell when someone's found somebody special because you ask and it's like, oh, well, yeah, kind
yeah,
of.
I do. And she's been a part of the whole thing with me, and she's always there by my side, which is really helpful. And very grateful to have her in my life and to be able to call her mine. So absolutely.
Oh, that's beautiful. I'm looking for that kind of love one day. I'm waiting for it. So, when you say that you don't want this feeling to ever stop, are you referring to like a feeling of bliss? Like you were talking about that dreamy feeling, or is it more of like a euphoric thing?
Yeah, yeah, I think that's the perfect way to kind of describe it. Bliss and euphoric. It's just like feel good, right?
Hmm.
Things are great. Like don't stop. You're having a good night out. Like you want to go back. Don't stop. Kind of
Yeah.
just good. Everything's great. Everything's a vibe.
That's a word nowadays. It's a vibe. I'm like, where you going? Oh, I'm hanging out with my homies. It's a vibe. It's gonna be a vibe. Where y'all going? It's gonna be a vibe. I'm like, all right, a vibe. I get it. But it's so true because so much of that's an energy thing. So whether you're in love with someone, you're in a room full of fans that love you and love what you do, or peers, everything really comes back to energy and a feeling, which is exactly what music is supposed to be anyway. Have you had so far throughout your career and your life, have you had one specific moment that's felt life changing for you?
Oh yeah, yeah. I've definitely had a bunch. I mean, I think one of my first big ones. I started out. I did artist development.
Hmm.
At UD, and like I said, I was into music, but I never really picked up a microphone before. Done the things you need to do. When giving a performance or your vocals. Recording to be a successful artist. So, I think my first like major show was South by Southwest in Austin, Texas. And I remember being like so nervous, like I'm like, oh my gosh, like this is crazy. Like I'm doing this show, like never done it before. And I remember I went up there and I was so nervous, but then as soon as I heard the music, I just like absolutely killed it. And I remember just looking, at all the people and it just being like so magical and euphoric, like, oh my God, I'm really doing this. Like I'm in
Hmm.
another city, across the United States and I'm performing my music in front of like, I think there are probably, four or 500 people. Like, it just was crazy. Like I never thought I would even get to there. And I'm
Hmm.
doing,
That's a really special moment to have, especially because it's like an out of body experience a little bit in that moment, right? It's like you're there, but you're experiencing. You're trying to take it all in at once, which is kind of hard to do.
yeah.
Yeah.
And definitely another one. I remember going to Phillips Arena, now State Farm Arena. I think I was 7 or 8 with my mom, and we went there for American Idol. And I loved American Idol as a kid, and I loved watching it. I'm like, one day I'm going to do that. Never won an American Idol, but I loved it as a kid. And I remember being there, and just seeing all these people on stage, and I like remember just like looking at my mom and going like, Mom, I want to, I want to be up on a stage like that one day. Like I want to do that one day. And that's all I could think about the entire time that I was there. Like, I want to be up there one day. I want to be on that stage one day. And that was very like, enlightening and like magical for me as well, just to, obviously being a kid, but just to see that and like feel that strongly about it at such a young age was really special to me when I look back on it.
Absolutely. Especially to have that realization at that age. To be like, that is where I feel like I need to be. That's what I want to do. That's so cool. So what's next for Trev? For all the fans out there that want to know what you're up to, what's next?
Yeah, so I'm definitely going to be, let the album ride out a little bit, but I've got a bunch more music. I'll also be touring next year, so I'll be announcing that, fairly soon on my Instagram and, my website, all socials. Instagram's TRVE, so it's pretty easy to remember, and I've got it tatted on me, so if you see me in public.
There you go. You don't even have to think too hard about it.
Yeah, but, I'm just focused on getting my message out there and, kind of doing my thing. So, definitely going to be a bunch of shows, a bunch of parties. I'm going to go ham next year. It's going to be my year, so I'm excited. I'm really excited.
Tours
Shout out to
are always exciting.
Here, so.
Like that's where you really get to connect with your fans. I think that's the payoff. As an artist, you release a project, you get to finally perform and really connect with people in person. And to me, that's the real magic, is having those moments in person. I'm so excited for you. That's going to be so cool.
Thank you. Yeah, I'm very excited too. And I've, already been doing a bunch of shows, but they're only going to get bigger and better. So
as an artist, it's all about growth, right? So you can't
Absolutely.
hope for anything different. So before we head out, we have this game that we play on the show called Confessions.
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's always like, mm-hmm.
Yeah, let's do it.
What sport would be the funniest to add a mandatory amount of alcohol to?
A mandatory amount of alcohol too. I'm going to go with, I think golf would be pretty funny if people were really unfiltered. A bunch of old guys, super unfiltered, just like, oh man, that shot sucked. They're just,
Yeah, be drunk and miss the ball every time.
Absolutely. Oh my God, like I can't hit this thing. Like I feel like, that'd be pretty funny.
The commentary on that would be hilarious. I feel like you'd need to mic everybody up for that.
Oh my. And the best part is like all the commentators, they're like, ladies and gentlemen, he just threw his clubs in the lake. Like they're so calm about it too. So like just seeing like the end, I feel like that'd be pretty funny.
Everybody in their raw state, that would be priceless. What is your spirit animal?
Don't know.
What's the worst part of a peanut butter and jelly sandwich?
There isn't one. What are you talking about? That's like the best thing in the world.
Somebody said a crust at one point.
What?
Yeah, that's what they...
I didn't like the crust as a kid, but I do like it now. So I guess I can see where they're coming from, but you can't sleep on the crust. Come on.
Yeah, you can't leave the crust out there. If you started a new tradition, what would it be?
I think disconnecting from everything, like whether it's even 5 or 10 minutes a day, just spend 5 minutes a day and just relax, just zen, no phone, just disconnect, just think. I feel like, that can be very helpful, when you have a lot going on and just for things in general to just sometimes stop, relax and kind of see what's, think about what's going on.
Great for mental health. More people should practice that on a regular basis. What is your craziest or most memorable Christmas experience?
See, my brother and I weren't behaved as kids.
This is gonna be good. Then I take it.
Well, there were several years where we would get started before the rest of the family.
Oh, nice. Oops.
We'd be up at like 3, and we just missed Santa. It's like 3:30, and it's time to open presents, and we would open all the presents under the tree, and obviously got in trouble, but those were pretty memorable. The several years in a row that it happened. So.
Pretty epic moments. Your parents were probably so mad. Coming downstairs, everything's already unwrapped.
And not just our presents either.
Everybody's. Oh, awesome. Just look, I was doing the work for you. I didn't want you to have to struggle with the gift wrapping, I figured we'd just get ahead of everything for you guys. I love it. So any exciting plans for New Year's? Anything epic planned?
For New Year's, Well, I'm definitely going to be recording. I'll tell you that. I always like to travel and hit a new city on New Year's if I'm not doing a show. Last year I had a show, so I wasn't able to. It was in Charlotte, so I guess I was still able to, have a good time, but I was focused on the show. But I love to just travel around the holidays. That's always something that I love to do. So hopefully travel, if not doing a show, or if not both. So I guess we'll see.
Well, I guess we'll have to see how that turns out. Hopefully both. Keep my fingers
That would
crossed.
be
It turns out to be both. Yeah. It's been so amazing chatting with you today. Everybody needs to go check out Doppelganger. Definitely check out Don't Stop. That's probably my favorite song on there. I was jamming to it all day today. Also make sure you go and show Trev some love on his Instagram. He's doing big things. 2023 is going to be a big year for him. So trust me, you're going to want to stay up to date with all the latest news and all his shows that he's going to have coming up. So that's going to be super exciting for you.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me. I really appreciate it. And
No,
yeah, I'm very
absolutely.
excited. Be on the lookout. So I can't I'm telling you, the world isn't ready. Like I've had so much stuff, that I'm just building up and working up, and it's gonna be so much. People are gonna be like, whoa.
It's going to be
So
like
I'm
an
excited.
explosion of awesomeness.
Oh yeah, yeah. So I'm very excited. Definitely, everyone, keep a lookout and be ready.
I can't wait. You guys already know. Make sure you go hit him up, follow him on Instagram. He'll be posting his tour dates and everything at the top of the year. It's going to be all amazing things throughout 2023. So make sure you guys tap in with him. And also remember that his music is available on all streaming platforms right now. Thank you so much for taking time out of your day to come chat with me. We're going to take a quick break, but we'll be right back. You're listening to The Abbie Knights Show.